A judge deciding that tattoos can be used as evidence in the upcoming murder trial of former NFL star Aaron Hernandez. He is charged with shooting and killing two men after a dispute at a Boston nightclub. Two of Hernandez's tattoos show guns with details that seem to match the facts of the case. Prosecutors expected to argue that the ink is the equivalent of a confession or an admission of guilt. Let's bring in Mercedes Colvin, Fox News legal analyst. David Bruno's criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor and trial attorney. Good to see you both. Ladies first. Mercedes, one of the tattoos depicts a six-shot revolver with one chamber missing. Hernandez is accused of firing 5 shots that killed these two men. Admissible?
Certainly so. I mean, we already have, there is history that has this type of ruling in the past because gang tattoos are allowed in. So there's already this legal precedent that exists. Frankly, in this case, the tattoos were gotten after the killing.
So timing is important.
The timing's critically important, and that's what the prosecutor said. No, this is extremely important, Judge, because it's not so, it's probative, much more than it is prejudicial, because of the fact that these tattoos were done after the killing.
All right,
and
David,
by the way, there was one casing that was missing.
Put your defense hat on here, because the defense argued to the judge, wait a minute, Judge, this is speculative. Tattoos can have a variety of meanings. Judge didn't buy it. He rejected that claim. Admissible. Did the judge make the right decision?
No, I don't. I think the judge made the mistake, and I also think the prosecutor made the mistake, because I'm a former homicide prosecutor myself, and the first question I ask when I have some questionable evidence when it comes to a legal issue is, do I need it? Right? And there is a mountain of evidence. He's already been convicted of 1 homicide. He's spending a life without parole. They have an eyewitness that was in the car who went state and has been given a deal.
So why create an appealable issue upon conviction?
Sure, because it's a close call. This is not a slam dunk. This is not a murder scene tattooed on somebody's chest.
Right.
It's a gun. And the state's making an argument that it's the similarities that get it. It may be probative, but I think it's more prejudicial than probative.
Why does it even matter, David? He's already doing life without parole for another killing.
Sure, it matters because this defendant has a right to appeal, and he has filed an appeal. In fact,
in that first case.
Well, what about the 2 murder victims? I mean, we're talking about procedure,
yeah.
We're talking about evidence, but in the bottom line, and this happens a lot. I was in the DA's office. People forget there are 2 people that died, presumably at the hands of Aaron Hernandez. That's really critical.
Let me ask you this, Mercedes. You know, often judges will rule it's admissible if police uncover a letter, a correspondence, or email or from a defendant in which he makes a fairly oblique reference to the crime that he has allegedly committed. It's usually admissible. This is no different, is it?
It's no different here. Exactly right. And Frank, it really boils down to the timing. And I understand it might be an appealable issue, so be it. But that's very much down the line. It really is a balancing test. The judge thought it was very probative, and certainly what he hung his hat on is, number 1, there's legal precedent to it, and number 2, the timing is really critical.
All right. There was a California case in which the defendant, who was convicted, by the way, had literally put a vivid tattoo description of the crime scene with his street name as the shooter. That's pretty clearly admissible. This isn't quite the same thing.
And that's what I'm saying. Exactly. That California case had the actual establishment of the place where the murder took place. And the decorations that were the same on the night of the homicide.
Right. So, yeah, David, why isn't this probative, though?
More probative than just a prejudicial tattoo.
Why do I say that? Because it's a semi-automatic gun. Semi-automatic gun was used in that killing, number 1. Number 2, there were 5 shots that were fired, 1 casing that was open. What's depicted on his arm? A chamber with a missing bullet. And by the way, the law enforcement found that 1 casing. 1. This is all probative. If you look at these pieces like a puzzle, the prosecutor is going to go step by step and show that there has to be a connection.
2 guns, 2 tattoos. 1 is a revolver relevant to the drive-by. There's the 5 bullets. And then the other gun is a semi-automatic, and it's relevant to the eyewitness who
he
shot down in Florida.
Didn't kill.
Yeah, he's the witness.
What about he's got other words that the judge is saying is, I mean, look at, he's covered with tattoos.
Yeah, and it's prejudicial for a jury to see that. That's a problem.
Why? Then let him not do it then, David.
Yeah, but that is not right, because he needs to be attorney in a suit. That is a problem. And if a jury sees that, it's coming back on appeal.
I suspect the jury is not going to see all those tattoos. The judge is just going to allow those 3 tattoos that are relevant to the case. But is it important and permissible for lawyers to get to ask the jurors, do you guys have any tattoos? And why is that important?
That's a great question. And I would absolutely ask that during voir dire. I would absolutely unquestion, because if you're going to say tattoos are prejudicial, you want to know if this jury sitting there is going to say, wait a minute, I have tattoos. That's not prejudicial. Why is it important that whether or not this person has tattoos?
Or you want to find somebody who says anybody who has a tattoo, you know, is a criminal. I mean, there are people who think that.
And exclude them. Yeah, with this ruling, the defense knows that it can be used. And it may not. Like I said, I think it's a mistake for the prosecutor to even go that route.
Yeah.
But as a defense attorney, you think about it, and if you could craft a voir dire question and ask a juror, then sure, I agree.
Last one. The words God forgives
Right.
is one of the tattoos the jurors will see, according to the judicial ruling here. What's the implication of that?
Consciousness of guilt. Why would you put that down with guns? Right underneath there, say God forgive.
Because I killed 2 people, God is going to forgive me.
Exactly right.
And it's ambiguous, and I'm sure if you checked a lot of tattoos, you have a similar phrase.
David Bruno, Mercedes Cohen, good to see you both. Thanks.
Great to see
Thank you, Greg.
All right.